I'm taking you straight into the blood-soaked, grime-covered streets of Little Sicily today. We're gonna break down the absolute most brutal, uncompromising, and narratively gripping 45 minutes Marvel has literally ever dared to put on a screen. Period. We're diving deep into Punisher: One Last Kill. Now, this isn't just another superhero outing where the good guy punches the bad guy and everyone goes home happy. No, this special presentation doesn't just push the envelope, it completely incinerates it. It leaves it in ashes. What we have here is a raw, meticulously crafted day in the life of Frank Castle. I really want to take our time with this today to really unpack the immense cinematic weight of this release. We're going to explore its deep comic book roots, dissect the relentless pulse-pounding action, and really get into the profound psychological shift of our central character. Because, trust me, there is so much to uncover here.
So, let me explain how this entire visceral journey kicks off. It starts with an atrocious act that, honestly, on a purely emotional level, feels worse than anything Thanos ever did. We are introduced to the absolute degradation of this neighborhood right out of the gate. How? A street-level villain literally throws a little dog in front of a speeding truck. Yeah, it is deeply upsetting. It's instantly enraging, but from a narrative standpoint, it is absolutely brilliant, highly effective shorthand. It establishes instantly that these streets are rotting from the inside out, that the criminal element here has lost all shreds of humanity, and crucially, it gives us, and it gives Frank, an immediate, visceral reason to crave justice right alongside him.
And you know, that unforgivable act perfectly sets the stage for a core thematic question that we really need to unpack today. Look at Frank Castle's state of mind at the very beginning of this story. We see his infamous mood board, right? It's cluttered with all these photos and faces all marked out with those heavy black X's. He has been systematically, methodically dismantling the Gnucci crime family, taking out the matriarch's loved ones one by one. He's effectively achieved his immediate goals, but here's the catch. The victory is entirely hollow. It means absolutely nothing to him. The narrative asks this deeply profound question. What does someone actually have to live for, if literally all they've been living for is revenge? Frank has eliminated his targets, the board is clear, but he finds himself completely and utterly empty inside. This heavy apathy creates a genuinely terrifying reality for the character. We are looking at a Punisher without a war to fight. And you see this emptiness manifest really early on. There's a scene where Frank literally just walks past active street crimes. He's completely, totally numb to the world around him. He sees a guy getting brutally beaten up down an alleyway and he doesn't even flinch. He just keeps walking. It heavily mirrors Tobey Maguire's iconic apathy sequence in Spider-Man 2. You know, the one where he turns a blind eye to the city in crisis? Frank is utterly checked out. He's been swallowed whole by the void left behind when his roaring engine of vengeance finally runs out of fuel. It's a really dark place to be.
But, as we know, a man like Frank Castle doesn't stay numb for very long. He is violently shaken out of this depressive rut, and it happens through a sequence of intense, psychological visits from his past. We see him haunted by visions of his murdered family. He goes to visit their graves. We get these deeply personal, quiet moments with Curtis Hoy, who flat out tells Frank he has absolutely no purpose anymore. We even get a startling, completely unexpected cameo from Karen Page. And I have to say, the way this entire sequence is handled is an absolute masterclass. It flirts with the idea of ghosts, sure, but it stays remarkably grounded in reality. These aren't paranormal entities flying around. They are hallucinatory manifestations of Frank's fractured psyche. They are his own mind desperately reminding him of what he has lost, and the war he simply must still fight. Now, to fully appreciate the real cinematic weight of what Frank is experiencing here, I need to take you back. We have to look at the specific comic lore that is acting as the engine driving this entire narrative. We're taking a trip back to the year 2000 to understand the true DNA of what we are watching unfold on screen.
Back in the year 2000, we got a comic run called Welcome Back, Frank. This was a gritty 12-issue soft reboot written by the legendary Garth Ennis. And this is absolutely crucial to understand because prior to this, the Punisher comics had fallen into this incredibly bizarre, supernatural purgatory era. I mean, they literally had Frank dying, going to actual purgatory, being found by real angels, and then sent back to Earth with glowing magical weapons. It was incredibly weird, and it just didn't feel like the Punisher. Well, Ennis came in, stripped all of that paranormal angel lore completely away, and returned Frank right back to his roots. He made him a grounded, one-man war machine operating out of a grimy, gritty tenement building. This new presentation we're talking about takes heavy, undeniable cues from that exact run. It completely restores the dark, street-level realism that truly defines who Frank Castle is. And you simply cannot talk about this grounded Garth Ennis era or this entire cinematic journey without talking about Gnucci. She is the ruthless, wheelchair-bound matriarch of the city's most powerful, most dangerous mafia family. And throughout this story, she has been quietly, methodically watching Frank. Ever since he took out one of her sons at that ruined restaurant in Little Sicily, she's had her eyes on him. She is a terrifying, calculating presence. To give you some context, in the comics, she's the one who gets so fed up she slaps a $10 million bounty on his head. That kind of money attracts every two-bit hood, every crooked cop in the city, and brings in massive heavy hitters like the Russian. She is absolutely not someone you mess with.
So when these two unstoppable forces finally collide, the tension is just off the charts. Gnucci actually flips the script on Frank's entire crusade. In this brilliantly tense scene, she manages to corner our protagonist. She starts telling him about the family she has lost, which perfectly mirrors Frank's own tragic origin story, and she chillingly declares, "I'm the one doing the punishing now." It is a fantastic, mind-bending inversion of his entire ideology. She literally strips him of his title right to his face, and then she gives him exactly until 647 to survive the absolute onslaught she has prepared for him.
And man, this intimate ideological threat instantly explodes into massive, large-scale violence. What follows is an absolute masterclass in kinetic filmmaking. Gnucci's forces completely descend, turning Frank's isolated tenement building into a claustrophobic, blood-soaked war zone. It's exactly like in the Welcome Back Frank comics, where his desperate need for isolation is violently shattered, and his innocent neighbors have to literally arm themselves. This sequence traps Frank in a heavily confined space. There is nowhere to go, no escape route, nothing to do but go straight forward through the enemy. I am completely, entirely blown away by the sheer cinematic audacity of this sequence. I mean, John Bernthal is just flexing his action chops to the absolute limit here. He kicks off a massive brawl while literally engulfed in flames. Think about that for a second. And the musical juxtaposition they use is absolute genius. He is duking it out, on fire, to Lou Armstrong's Levy and Roll. It creates this haunting, surreal, almost Fallout-style atmosphere right in the middle of all this carnage. And then it evolves into this relentless, brutal hallway bloodbath. I have to say it, this sequence easily rivals the pure, unadulterated intensity of legendary action films like The Raid or Dread. It is that good. And this level of extreme brutality, that is a massive statement of intent. For a really long time, we've heard promises of darker, mature content. We all remember the build-up to projects like Moon Knight, right? Where all the marketing promised it was going to be the darkest thing yet, but ultimately, when it came down to it, they really pulled their punches. Well, not here. Not this time. This proudly, almost defiantly displays every single visceral, over-the-top impact. There is absolutely no sanitization here. There is no softening of the violence. They're holding nothing back.
But here's the brilliant part. Amidst all this phenomenal, jaw-dropping action, as Frank is barely surviving this brutal gauntlet, the narrative brilliantly forces him into an impossible corner. Because he isn't just fighting for his life here, he is actually fighting for his soul. He is forced to make a defining, split-second choice about exactly who he is going to be moving forward. The question hangs in the air. Will he continue to merely avenge the past, or will he finally step up and choose to protect the future? And in a beautiful, profoundly moving subversion of his usual bloodlust, Frank makes his choice. He actually lets Gnucci escape. He abandons his bloody, relentless pursuit of the very woman actively trying to kill him. Why? Because he chooses instead to save a local shop owner and his family. It is a monumental, seismic shift for the character. He finally realizes that if he just continues his never-ending quest for vengeance, he is only ever going to be living for the dead. By making the active choice to save the innocent, he finally begins to heal his deepest, most painful psychological wounds. In this moment, he transcends being a mere punisher. He becomes a true protector. The emotional payoff of that choice is just utterly devastating. He saves the store owner's daughter, and in return, she gives him a small, simple gift. It's a quiet, profound moment that seems to make up in some very small cosmic way for the daughter he lost all those years ago. Taking that little girl's gift all the way back to his family's grave, Frank says his daughter was with him today. It's chilling. He finds the key to where he locked up his old gear, and he finally realizes his new purpose. It isn't just about killing the guilty anymore, it's about actively shielding the innocent so that no one else ever has to suffer his tragic, agonizing fate. But listen, do not think for a single second that Frank Castle has gone entirely soft. I absolutely love how the ending structure works here. The narrative brings us right back to the beginning. We go all the way back to that destroyed restaurant in the war zone of Little Sicily,
we are back for one final piece of brutal, uncompromising housekeeping.
Standing right in front of the ruined Gnucci Empire, Frank raises his weapon, and he mercilessly shoots the man who threw the dog at the very beginning of the story. It is the perfect, darkly satisfying way of closing the loop on this day in the life. It perfectly reinforces the idea that while his ultimate goal is evolved into protection, his methods for dealing with irredeemable, senseless cruelty remain just as lethal and unflinching as they ever were. So, the big question now is, where do we go from here? Look, Gnucci is still alive. She escaped to fight another day, which means she is perfectly positioned to potentially declare her comic-accurate $10 million bounty on Frank's head. We really have to look forward to where this newly evolved Protector-era Punisher is going to fit into the broader, vastly expanding cinematic universe. Specifically, I'm thinking about as we head toward the Brand New Day storyline. This opens up just massive, massive potential for the street-level universe. I am absolutely fascinated by what his upcoming dynamics are going to look like. Specifically, his inevitable interactions with Spider-Man. That is going to be incredibly compelling to watch. Think about it, at this point in the narrative, both of them are dedicated street-level vigilantes, and crucially, both of them are operating totally outside the Avengers' good graces. They are outcasts, they are on their own. Watching their vastly differing moral codes completely clash and then somehow align in this new era, that is going to be absolute cinematic gold. And as a newly minted protector of New York City, Frank is perfectly positioned to clash with some highly unique psychological threats. Just imagine him trying to survive a psychic war zone manipulated by someone like Gan Gray, someone who could deeply, painfully weaponize his lingering trauma against him. Or better yet, imagine him confronting the deep, pervasive corruption of Mr. Negative. Both Frank and Mr. Negative operate in these intense extremes of black and white duality. Using Mr. Negative to bridge that gap and become a true thematic foil for Castle, that would be an incredibly smart narrative move. Looking at the execution of this presentation as a whole, part of me genuinely wished we had a full hour. I mean, adding just 15 to 20 extra minutes to really let these massive comic lore seeds breathe could have elevated the scope even further. But honestly, this 45-minute runtime is a deeply satisfying, expertly paced thrill ride. It is tight, it is intensely focused, and it genuinely doesn't waste a single frame of footage. It delivers exactly what it promises on the tin, a brutal, condensed, and powerful day in the life of Marvel's most relentless anti-hero. For the studio at large, I think this execution proves without a shadow of a doubt that they are finally succeeding in their big push toward darker, mature storytelling. And the best part is, they are doing it the right way. They are doing it without ever losing the emotional, tragic core of their characters. Is it violent? Yes, absolutely. But the violence actually serves the psychological journey of the protagonist. It is a massive, confident step in the right direction for the broader cinematic universe. Ultimately, after breaking all this down, we have to ask, is this the definitive live-action Punisher? Between the meticulous Garth Ennis Easter eggs, the truly uncompromising, visceral action choreography, and this incredibly powerful thematic shift from a hollow Avenger to a purposeful protector, I believe this firmly establishes the absolute gold standard for street-level adaptations moving forward. It leaves us with a character who is healed just enough to have a real purpose, but still broken enough to remain incredibly dangerous. So, what do you think his next move should be in this brave new street-level world?